Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing, Miss Felicia?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
That's
good.
good.
So we are back this evening, everybody. And as you can see, I have my purple on and my purple lipstick. I always kick off the month of October as a domestic violence month awareness. For domestic violence awareness month.
Right.
And there's also breast cancer awareness as well. So I might wear pink next
And
Sunday.
and I have a
So
little
Miss
pink to
Felicia got
represent
on
the
pink
breast
then.
cancer. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, she does. So if y'all don't mind, could you please share this live and also put domestic violence domestic violence awareness in the comments if you don't mind, please. Um, because this is a topic that is still something that we have to discuss. And y'all know this is the platform where we don't sweep anything under the rug, baby.
Right.
We talk about it all. So, since this is a Christian talk show, we are talking about, these things that happen among people of God. So, it is happening among people of God. Ain't it,
That's
Felicia?
true.
Yeah,
That is true.
especially in marriages, most definitely.
Unfortunately.
Exactly. So, share this live if you don't mind, and put in the comments domestic violence awareness, or you can just put DVA. I know it's a long hashtag to be posting, but we have to let people know about domestic violence. It
Right.
is still happening in the world today, and we want people to know that they are not alone in this situation, and that there are help um, available. So, if y'all don't mind, please share and also show some love by putting hashtag domestic violence awareness in the comments. So, tonight we will be talking about domestic violence. Now, majority of the time when this topic is talked about, Felicia. And good evening, everyone out there who are watching us right now. I'm just so caught up in everything else that I didn't even give
Ah!
acknowledgement to the audience. So how y'all doing this evening? I hope y'all doing wonderful. How you doing, Candace, Elissa? How y'all doing tonight? Or whoever else is watching us on tonight. Forgive me for not acknowledging you. I always try to make sure that I
He
acknowledge
does.
the audience. So we thank you for joining us on this evening. Um, but as I was saying earlier, we're talking about domestic violence. Now, majority of the time when people talk about that, it's always about women
That's true.
um, being in those type of situations. But men are in those situations as well,
Yeah.
and
It's
they're
just not
very
it's
seldom
taboo
reported.
to
Yeah,
discuss it.
yes, and some people have the stigma, and the you know opinions and myths about a man being abused by other people because men can be abused by their family
Yeah.
members or by a significant other. So, um, but it can happen. So we have to acknowledge that both sides can have this situation going on.
That is so
Now,
true.
they just don't be the one to come out as often. They're not vocal like women are. So and of course, it might be because of the stigma behind it, but it does happen. So before we get into our conversation tonight about domestic violence, I do want y'all to know that Issues of Life is a nonprofit and we do take donations. So this is my PayPal, and this is the Cash App to Issues of Life. It is a 501c3, and if you need documentation so you can put these on your taxes, it can be available. So I just want y'all to know that we do take donations. We do provide counseling for those that cannot afford it. So that's the reason why I take up donations as well as provide resources and needs for those who
Yeah.
have a need in the community. So I do thank you in advance for that, and I just wanted to bring it out there. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show, you can email me at info@issuesoflife.me. Me and Felicia are always taking guests. So if you are an author or a motivational speaker, a coach, someone who just wrote a book and you want to get yourself out there, please email me at info@issuesoflife.me, and I will be glad to have you on the show. All right, y'all, so let's get to talking. So we're talking about before you get into relationship with people, because domestic violence don't just happen with significant others. It can be family members too. It can be friendships. It can be church family. You see what I'm saying? And people can be violent towards you, but how do you know that? So I have this question. I have y'all know I love to just pop up with these scenarios that's or either a trivia game. I'll be popping up with something. But tonight we popping up with I'm gonna put out some scenarios about or some conversation that people have said, and then y'all tell me if that person has a tendency to be violent. Because when we connect with people, we should be also collecting data. When you connecting with people, also collect data. A lot of people don't want to get into the conversation of analyzing people, but I analyze people a lot. You know, I observe people. I am an observer. I'm an introvert. So instead of me
Hmm.
talking, I sit back and look.
Yep. Same here.
I
Same
really
here.
do. Even when I'm at, it don't matter where I am. I can be at a game. I can be sitting in a restaurant with my husband, and I'm looking at people, just observing them.
Hmm.
And that's just how I'm wired. So don't look at me like I'm crazy. I'm just saying. Sometimes we do need to do that. What the Bible say, Felicia? Watch and pray. Thank you.
Keep
Ain't that
your
what it
eyes
say,
and ears
y'all? Ain't that
open.
what it say? Everybody in the audience, ain't it what it says? It says, what it say, Felicia? You know what it says.
Watch and pray.
Okay, and pray. So why we ain't? So everybody want to pray, but they don't want to look. They don't want to observe. They don't want to take the time out to be getting nosy with folks.
Oh,
Excuse me, I need to
goodness.
get nosy just a little bit. Where you say you from? Who you say your mama is? Wait a minute, I your daddy so and so, and he had, did that. He did that last year. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And what you say you had when you grew up when you was a child? Hold on, I need to know. What you say you believe
Oh,
in?
goodness.
Girl, no. We need to start getting nosy, but we also need to look at people. We need to watch these folks. Come on now, everybody who says that they love the Lord. I'm just saying, everybody who says they love the Lord, Felicia, finish my sentence.
That, and let's keep it real. And I mean, we have to have because this is issues of life, but it's Christian based. We have to be honest. Just like you said earlier, violence does take place even within the body of Christ. It's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that is saved or claim to be saved is not, that doesn't mean they're not prone to having some hidden personal issues, and domestic violence being one of them. I've heard of a lot of cases in the church of domestic violence, spouse, partner, significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, family member, like you said. So, we got to be honest, and I'm not going to say it starts there because I don't think this is a church thing. It's a global thing, bigger than
It's
the
a
church.
global thing.
Yeah, it's global. But at just specific to the church, it absolutely happens in the church, and a lot of times we get caught up in the idea, oh, they're saved, they can shout good, or that's deacon so and so, or that's pastor so and so, apostle, or whatever. They may not even
Mhm.
have a title. Just he just may be a lay member there, but we get caught up in the idea that they're in church and but this is where you got to be observant. You got to start asking questions, getting
Yeah,
that, like you said, because many are in church, but the church ain't in them.
that's true.
And that's
Mm.
the difference. And that being having the true heart of Christ. Because if you truly had the heart of Christ, you are not going to,
Yeah,
live that type of life where you're causing violence or harming anyone in your life.
yeah. Hurting anyone,
Right, right.
abusing people and oppressing people. Because, domestic violence is not just only hitting someone. Um, it can be
Emotional.
in other number of ways. So,
Right.
um, we just, I mean, even if a person wasn't in church and he or she say, I'm a good person, or I wouldn't do, or it may be somebody you having a conversation and they say, "Oh, I would never do that to you."
Yeah.
You really don't know. You cannot make that type of promise. I
Yeah.
mean, I am prone to do anything. I'm just being honest. I'm prone to do anything. You want to know
We're
how I
all
know
prone
that?
to do
Because
anything.
yeah, we are capable because we
Yeah.
are in a body and we have a powerful mind where we can make a decision to do anything.
Yeah.
And
We're all
sometimes
one
your
step
mind can
away.
snap. You know, you can snap any day, anytime over
That's
something.
right.
You just don't know what you can do. But by the blood of Jesus, also, but by my commitment to Jesus and also my relationship to God, I am in a different frame of mind
Hmm.
where I'm not hurting anyone, I'm not abusing anyone because, I have put in the work. Because the
Right.
Bible says, work out your own salvation. So I
That's
put in
right.
the work. So, you are in a position to allow the Holy Spirit to guide you and lead you and help you to live this life, which can be hard at times. But if you're not doing those things, then yeah, you could be prone to do anything. And it's just a matter. It all it takes is making a decision to do something. But we all are capable of hurting people, you know, and we have to deal with those issues of life that we have, and we shouldn't have relationship with people until we have dealt with those things. But broken people do tend to be attracted to other broken people because
Codependency.
yeah, exactly. So that can happen. Hi, Miss Shamika. Shamika, how you doing this evening? So, does this person have a tendency to be violent? Let's go to the first conversation. I asked my friend why, and he picked up the lamp and threw it to the other side of the room. Does the person who picked up the lamp and threw it to the other side of the room, does they have the tendency to be violent?
Absolutely.
And Felicia said, absolutely. Hi, Donica. How you doing this
Yeah.
evening?
That's a violent reaction. Anytime that you are not in control of your emotions, because that's an emotional feeling. That was brought on by some level of emotional feeling, whatever it was, and it forces you to do something
Mhm.
that dramatic. I mean, I think we've all kind of acted out from emotions in some way or another, but something that dramatic, pick up a whole lamp and pick it up and throw it across the room. That's you
Yeah.
probably a little violent. Now, I will say this, I'm kind of going a different angle because I'm thinking
Mhm.
about the old episode of Good Times. I don't know if y'all remember that episode when James he was in denial about his high blood pressure, but he was flipping off around the house. He done broke chairs. Like he was just, and it's but that was connected. You know what I'm saying? How he reacted was
Yeah.
he had high blood pressure issues, about to sit up here and
Hmm.
kill everybody because he's sick.
I know.
But
And I can't help but to think that James has some anger issues.
he did. But the thing with that, and I mean, we can only speculate. It's a TV show characters.
Yeah, it's a
But from what
yeah,
we
sure.
saw, we would never. He wouldn't. To us, he wouldn't harm his family. He
Hmm.
wouldn't lay a hand to Florida, no matter what their issues were. But he was a father and a husband and a man that could get violent, and we saw
Yeah,
that with a few episodes. You
exactly.
know, and that was where that anger needed to be handled. He needed to figure out. Well, at that time, they didn't.
Exactly.
That was not a
Exactly.
discussion. But in these
Yeah.
days and time, you need to figure out how to direct that energy somewhere else.
Somewhere
Somewhere
else.
else.
And Shamika said that she said yes, that's violent, probably not a new action. And if
Hmm.
it was the first time that a person does do that, that is still a red flag. And it's okay to walk away and say this is not gonna work. Because I had, that's a traumatic experience when someone do that to you for the first time,
Yeah.
and you may not be used to that. You may not be used to a man throwing a lamp. But if you are used to a man doing that, it probably would seem like it was normal.
Yeah.
But to a person who is not used to seeing something like that, oh yeah, it's a red flag. You can go ahead and just say, "Babe, we cannot be any friends." I mean, we cannot talk or nothing. But you're
No,
right,
because that
Tamika.
might be me next time.
Yeah, exactly. Tamika said that James didn't really have a good communication skill,
No,
and he
he
didn't.
didn't. He
He
did not.
didn't. And most of the time, people who get angry like that, that is the issue. They do not have good communication
Yeah.
skills. And if a man or a woman do not have good communication skills while you're dating, they're not gonna have good one when you're married them either.
Yeah, they're
So
gonna be worse.
it is gonna be a barrier. It is gonna be a burden because they do not have good communication skills before you marry them. If they didn't have them before you marry them, it is not going to
You're
happen
right.
after you marry them. You still going to have issues.
I
And communication, huh?
right. I was gonna coincide with what you were saying. I always believe anything that was a problem in the dating, you get married and it wasn't handled, it's just gonna be heightened in the marriage.
That's it. That's it. And communication is important. He said JJ would drive anyone. Jessica, we are not talking about JJ. All right, the next conversation. He shared with me that as a child, he saw his daddy beat his mama. If this person who shared this while you're dating or talking or getting to know one another, would you think that this person is prone to be violent or maybe at risk to be violent?
I like that. I think that's a person that could potentially be at risk, but that doesn't actually mean that they're going to repeat that behavior. The fact that they're acknowledging that says a lot too. I would
Yeah.
take that into consideration that this man even brought this up as something to discuss, like, hey, this is what I saw
Hmm.
growing up. And I would look at all the factors. Has he shown that
Yeah.
type of behavior with us? Has he, been aggressive and angry and spoke to me in any ill manner? But he's sharing this. I would take that all into consideration, like you said, being observant, being aware of those things in your communication. This might be someone that just is fearful of becoming that because that's what they saw, but not necessarily that type of person.
That's true.
That's
That's
my
true. We
perception.
really don't. We really don't know unless they show it to us.
That's true.
We really don't know unless they show it. I mean, they could say that they won't, that they are not going to be like their father or whoever, but um, you still have to see it,
Yeah.
Because believe me, I'll be looking at you with my first eyeballs that I got, and then my eyeglasses eyeballs. To make sure,
Right,
that
right,
I'm just saying, because
right.
it's still a personal journey. It's a personal
Yeah,
journey. I mean, every person that grows up in a situation like that does not become.
That's
like
true.
their father. So,
That's true.
what about y'all audience? Do you think this type of person will be prone to violence? Because you really do have to get to know the person
Right.
and get more background and see if that person really is prone to be violent.
Right.
Now, the next one, I said something she didn't like and she walked away from me.
Now, and what's the question again in regards to this scenario? Is this
This
person?
person, the person who walked away, are they the ones who prone to violence? The person who walked away.
I don't call that violence. I call that setting boundaries. Because
No.
sometimes I just can't say nothing to you. Because if I say something to you, that's going to cause a friction. I might say something that I can't take back. So instead
Yeah.
of responding in a emotional place, I'd rather just walk away. Now, some people may feel indifferent about that. Just walking away means this, this, and that. But at the same time, I think it takes courage for a person to know themselves and to say
Hmm.
it's best that I walk away and let's revisit this a little bit later when I'm in a calm, collective state versus in an emotional state. Because in that emotional state, anything is prone to happen, whether
Exactly.
verbally or physically, and or physically. So I don't look at a person that walks away from a heated conversation or just from a conversation that just didn't go right as a
Hmm.
problem. That to me is a person that's aware of themselves, possibly, and know I need to take a moment.
And really, to walk away is the best thing that you could ever do because you may do need to just walk away. That's even for men. Men can walk away too, you know.
Hmm.
But the person who is complaining about someone who walk away, you know, that may be their way of de-escalating the situation,
Right.
or if they are avoiding the situation, they still um, you still have to give people the opportunity to walk away. Just let them walk, because sometimes that they may need that space to talk. And sometimes I know this can be very hard for women to allow men to do because we want to have a conversation. We want
Yeah.
to have a conversation.
Yeah.
We
Right
want
then
you
and
to
there.
hear and listen to us. We want you to hear every word that we are saying. You know what I'm
Do you
saying?
hear
But
the words that are coming out of my mouth?
yeah, do you hear every word that are coming out of my mouth? But we cannot be one of those condescending type of women where we won't allow a man to walk away. Especially when there may be a heated
Right.
conversation. You might well just let them walk, because it's no telling what could come out of that. It's not a good feeling when a person walk away from you, but especially when you're having a conversation with them and it's probably serious, Felicia, and they walk away.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna look. Okay, I'm probably looking around like, wait a minute, did he just walk away from me? Like, acting like he hadn't heard a word I said. But
Right.
you know, um, I mean, I never had that type of situation with my husband, but when he walks away, and if that means it's time for both of us to time out.
Ah! Oh,
That's
time
all that
out.
means. Both of us need to be on timeout. Or if I walk away, the same thing. We both need to be on timeout.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta have those good communication skills. My
Yeah.
God. Every time I get ready to spend time with my family, she gets to whining and talking about I don't love her.
I don't
This is
think
a
that's
man
violent.
talking about a woman that he may be dating or even a wife. And every time he wants to go spend time with his family, she goes to whining and talking about how he doesn't love her. You always
That
want
ain't
to spend time with your family. You don't never
look.
want to spend time with me.
That ain't violent. That's manipulative.
Thank
That's
you.
manipulation. That ain't no violence. That's
That is
manipulation.
manipulation.
Yes.
It really is. But don't you know some manipulative men do the same thing to female, but
Yeah.
it can also be controlling because you won't let me go spend time with my family,
Right.
or friends or whatever. But that one right there, you really do have to be careful because they can turn that into controlling and won't allow you to do anything. He wants my password to my phone.
That's uh well, I think there's a lot of layers to that. I mean, so many. I don't know. I think that's there's no true. I don't think there's a true answer, like one definite answer. There's so much to that. I don't. For me, I don't think it's wrong for a married couple to have each other's passwords and things of that nature. You're
Yeah,
married. What are you hiding? Like, I don't think there's
that's
nothing wrong
true.
with that. But at the same time, in a different relationship, different couple, that can be a level of control and
Hmm.
manipulation. So I think it just depends on the
But
couple.
the conversation will have to be had.
Oh yeah,
Like, why do you want the password? What do you need it for?
yeah,
And usually while you're talking like that, why do you need it? What you need it for? Then definitely it'll come out. Hey,
yeah.
because I want it, or he may say, or she
But
may
why
say,
can't I have
because. Yeah,
it?
exactly. During the conversation, you'll know what the real motive is if you're paying
Yeah,
attention. Most definitely.
yeah.
All right, one more, y'all. She calls me names and yells at me when I make mistakes.
Okay, so you just verbally abusive.
Yes, verbally abusive. Men can be abused by women, especially women who verbally abuse. Um,
Hmm.
but there are some women who hit a man too now. I think I had
Absolutely.
it on here. She won't stop hitting me. At first it was like play hitting, but lately it's been aggressive. So women do hit men too, but it's still abusive. It's still domestic violence. And when kids are involved, it's a whole dynamic, whole different dynamic that's going on between the whole family. Because it's not just the two people that are hurting each other, but it's also the kids as well. So
And
we,
I would also extend that. It's the entire family on both sides of the spectrum. Obviously, the kids, if there's kids involved, but family is involved with that because, especially if you know what's going on behind those closed doors,
hmm
and you know that's a an abusive situation, whether it's the man or a woman,
yeah,
that can be hard because obviously our first thought is let's go save them. Let's
yeah.
go and let me keep it real. Let me go fight him.
Oh
Let me
man,
go show him how that feel. Like I mean, why lie? That is truly my first instinct. When I hear a man whipping up on a woman, I'm ready to throw down with him now. Because
hmm
that's just my thought process. Obviously, that doesn't resolve anything. And not only
it
that,
does.
I've seen too many times in other scenarios where family got involved and
hmm
2 days later, a week later, they was back together again. So you done got all huffed up and fighting and whatever the case may
Yeah,
be, and they still linked up.
exactly.
I remember my mom telling me a story about my one of my uncles
hmm
and one of his women, and
Um,
unfortunately, he was abuser. Call it what it is. We're not finna sugarcoat it. He was an abuser, and this one particular girl, my mom would get involved, she said, or she would call my mom. She said two days later, she back then in the 70s, the whole front seat was open, so you could sit real
mhm.
close back then. She said she'd see them riding down the street and she all hugged up on them while he driving with two black eyes. But she
Wow.
steady calling her, Lisa, Lisa, your brother. I'm like, man. But that's the thing. She would get involved or thought about getting involved 2 days later, then it's
Yeah,
like that's a hard thing for family to witness. So that's why I
it
said
is. It
that it's
is.
hard for the family too,
It is.
because first thing
And
you want to save them.
I look when I'm not trying to compare anything, but when you are dealing with that type of situation, you have to look at it like it's an addition because codependency is an addition. Um, you know, people don't understand the dynamic between the abuser and the victim. Because you can say all kinds of things. You can show that this man is not good. Believe me, they even know that the person
Yeah.
is not good for them, but they can't seem to break the tie between them. They just it's that's something you just cannot just come between and just say, okay, y'all stop. Y'all don't need to be together. And then you think that they just gonna do it that day, that
Yeah.
instantly. No, it doesn't happen that quick. Um, people have to go through the process, the program, just like everyone else, to untie themselves away from a person who they know is hurting them. But to them, it can be all kinds of reasons of why they stay. You know, so we do have to be compassionate. To people who do decide to stay in the situation.
Yeah. I'm
And
glad you said that because
prayerful because people have died.
right. I'm glad you said that because I remember when I was younger and I've had family members in domestic situations. I thought they was the most insane, deranged, crazy people. I'm like, how are you laid up with him and you sleeping with him and you crazy, you stupid. If that was me, young and foolish, because I just didn't understand the dynamic. And I still don't, in a sense of that's never been my
Hmm.
testimony. Like I've never been in a situation like that and can't see myself in a situation like that ever just because of who I am. But I've also learned never say never. All it takes is one bad decision and you will end up in a situation. But with that
Hmm.
said, now that I'm older, there's a certain level of empathy for men and women that are in domestic violence relationships because what may seem so easy from the outside looking in just to get out, with the things that I've been able to look at and stories I've been able to hear about domestic
Hmm.
violence situations, it's easier said than done. It's just sometimes it's certain depending on the level of it, you just can't leave. You gotta actually have a strategy. Like you
You
gotta have
do.
an escape route, especially if it's that person has gotten you to a certain level, has really taken completely over your mind and stuff like that, and where that fear has been planted in your heart and your mind, there's a certain strategy that takes place with that, and that don't come overnight.
It doesn't.
That don't come overnight. So I've learned, the best thing that we can do is one, what you said is pray and just
Hmm.
whatever way we can be supportive for people that's in situations like that. Just because
Yeah.
we don't feel that we would end up in it and can't understand it, it ain't for us to understand. It's for us to pray and support.
Amen. It really is. Because, there's some people who will not find themselves in that situation. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, Lord, I'm grateful that I'm not in that situation, but that doesn't mean that I won't ever be in that situation.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because we all can happen to be in some circumstance that you just didn't see, that you just didn't
Hmm.
foresee. You see what I'm saying?
So true.
And majority of the time, these are women who or men who are so sweet, who are so kind,
Hmm.
it may be naive, but at the same time, that still doesn't give a right for a person to come in and just abuse them or take advantage of them or to oppress them just
Right.
because it's an easy way to do it. Plus, they may be going through some situations in their own life, and that is not of God. I just don't believe that God wants us to do that to each other because one of His commandments is to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. But if a person is doing that to someone else, Felicia, I can't help but to think that it is because you do not know love. Because if you knew love, you
Absolutely.
would not
I
be
agree.
doing these things to someone else's daughter or to someone else's son. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It, you know, it's just about that whole thing about love. And if you're a woman that's in this situation, you may not know love either.
It's
Me
true.
growing up in my 20s and dating folks, I didn't really know what love was either, but I knew
Okay.
that I
Say that.
wanted it. I knew that I wanted it.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to be loved. I knew that I wanted a man to respect me and care about me. I knew that. But it didn't always work the way that I thought. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Donica had put in the comment, yes, it is easier said than done, and sometimes the resources are not there.
That's
That's
true.
true. Sometimes the resources are not there, Um, and as far as that is concerned, I really do believe that sometimes you may have to just go somewhere that you don't know, or
Yeah.
go to a person that you don't know. And sometimes it's not even good to just be near people who you do know. You know what I'm saying? Because they bias. So the resources may have to be somewhere else that you didn't think. Because people think resources supposed to be there locally, but some of them may be a town over or a state over or a couple of towns over. But it is easier said than done. And since I have never been in a situation like that, I really couldn't tell you,
Right.
how it is or how it feels. You see what I'm saying? I have been in situations where I have been um, taken advantage of and being manipulated by men. But as far as being in a domestic violence situation,
Right.
I have never been in a situation, but I do know that help is available, and and I do believe that prayer works as well. But
Yeah.
sometimes a situation can get out of hand. It really can,
Yeah. And I
and
think touching on the resources question, or comment, should I say, I think also a lot of times, and we've heard of it happening so many times. I know I have, is where even with the resources, where um, the I know what I'm trying to say. Excuse me. Your police officers, you file, and I'm talking about in situations where the woman is filing restraining orders
mm,
and things of that nature. It's really not taken serious. I mean, it's not taken serious until someone ends up dead. It's like, oh, he really meant
exactly,
that threat. Oh, case in point, I don't know if anybody heard of that. I think the couple was African descent, and it was a husband. He was a pastor,
yeah,
and he killed his wife. But I don't know if anybody saw a video that circulated where the wife's brother actually got into a physical altercation with him,
exactly.
and he threatened the wife in that house right
That's all
then.
it is.
And the
He sure
brother
did.
said, call the police, press charges. Somebody in the background, I don't know if it was the wife or it was two females there. I don't know who said it out of the females, but they was like, why? And I thought, this is the problem right here. Whoever said why in the background, you the problem. This man just sat here and threatened her life.
That's it is.
And you in the background saying, well, why do we need to call the police? Well, why not? Well, unfortunately, he killed her and killed himself. That's how big of a coward he was. Took himself out too, but he caught her going to work.
I mean, he killed himself, Felicia.
Yes,
I knew everything else that happened before then, but I didn't know he killed himself.
yes, yes. He take me out too. So you won't
I
get her
mean,
and you won't get me.
so he was really in that mind frame. Since I can't have you, then I'm gonna kill you and kill myself.
Yeah,
Because and to me, I don't care what nobody say, but that's not love. That
that's
is that is not love. I mean, it's only one person who sacrificed his life, and that's Jesus Christ. Ain't nobody else supposed to be doing that.
right. The
I'm
lamb has
sorry.
already been sacrificed.
Okay, all right. Messiah has already came and did his did what he's supposed to do for the Lord and for us and die for
Right,
our sins. You know what I'm saying?
right.
When a man say that he would kill himself if he can't have you,
That's scary.
that is not love. Love
When I
died on
hear
the
of any
cross.
relationship like that where they are killing themselves, like
Amen.
if I can't have you, we ain't getting a divorce. I'm gonna kill you because you ain't going to know. That's somebody that thought they controlled you, that thought they
Exactly.
had all the power, and the only way I could take this power, or I could take the power out of your hands, which that's not what the person's trying to do. per se.
Yeah,
Let me just take you out along with me. Because if I can't have the power, you can't have it either.
you
That's
can't
some
have it
crazy
either.
psychotic stuff right
That
there.
that's just how narcissistic
Yes, that's the
he
word.
a person is when they say something like that. When a person says something like that, they're narcissistic. Tia say that love is powerful, and some people are brought up about what love is differently. Exactly.
That's
That's
a
what
good
I think
point.
about this pastor. He had he had a whole different dynamic perspective, frame of mind about what love is, and
Yeah.
he think that love is controlling. Love is I gotta let you know I gotta be the one to tell you what to wear. I'm gonna tell you what to eat, when to eat, and then if you were to leave me, I'll kill you. You see what I'm saying? He may have got that from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You really think our men, our boys, will grow up and just automatically one day and just say, I'm going to control my wife. I'm going to tell her what to do. I'm going to tell her what to eat. She's going to be my
Yeah, nobody
servant.
wakes up out of
Yeah,
nobody
she's
come
going
out
to
the
be my
womb doing
servant.
that.
Yeah, he done learned it from
That's
somewhere.
about behavior.
You best
That's
believe
right.
he done learned it. He done saw it, and he thought it was something that he could do, or may have thought that this is what love is supposed to be. But
And
it's
we all have to remember that with everything that we do too. That's a great point,
mhm,
just in general, is that for each and every one of us, you and I and everyone that's joining us tonight, we have to remember everything that we do, it was taught to us. It was taught behavior, learned behavior. We didn't come out the womb just, oh, I'm gonna be this and oh, I'm gonna
exactly,
be that. No,
exactly.
that seed or those seeds had to be planted in each and every one of us. So some of us
By
got a
somebody.
whole bunch of good seeds in us. A whole bunch of us have, a great
Yeah,
harvest just overflowing. Then some of
overflowing.
us got some bad seeds.
Exactly.
Well, them roots is a little rotted. You know what I'm saying? But that's what
Hmm.
all of us, everything that we're doing, how we're maneuvering through life, how we're maneuvering even as older adults, it's what we were taught and it's what we saw. And now that's why we all, for most of us, there's now, okay, I need to change some things. I need to do this differently.
Exactly.
No, that wasn't healthy, or that, I didn't need to do that. But we have to remember that, and especially with things like this, no one comes out the womb. It's the same difference as a pedophile. It's the same difference as a molester. That person didn't come out the womb a molester. That was taught.
Mhm.
That was showed behavior. So that's why you got to get to the root of the issue.
You gotta get to the root. You have to know, you have
Yeah,
to find out where it comes from. You really
yeah,
do. And listen, say it is a process to break away. If he or she get your mind that got you, that is not love, it's control. And I don't know why people I don't know, but like Felicia was saying, there may have been a seed that been planted, or he or she may have seen something in the family as they're growing up that controlling is love, but it's not. I mean, God doesn't even control us. So what makes you think that a man or a woman should be controlling you?
yeah. He
If
gives us
God
free
doesn't
will.
do it. God said you have a free will to love him back. So it's the same way with relationship. You should have a free will to love whoever you want to love, as well as love a person back. But the Bible isn't it First Corinthians? It tells us how what love is, and it has everything that you need to know about what love is. And if that person is not portraying what the Bible says in First Corinthians, then I'm sorry, that's not love. If you're not kind, if you're not respectful, you're not flipping the script on me and saying that it's my fault. And you're not envious, you're not proud, and you're
Yeah,
not walking around here rejoicing when I'm down, or rejoicing when I have failed or something, then the Bible has it right there in the scriptures. And if you
right,
are with somebody who is doing the opposite, then it could be a possibility that they are a narcissist.
right.
I'm just gonna
Well,
be honest.
where you walking at in the scripture, I think about this part of it too, for especially for those that are believers, in the church, husbands. And he tells
Mhm.
husbands, love your wife as Christ loves the church.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of husbands that's in the church that are controlling their wives, that are manipulating their wives. And I'm not coming
Mhm.
down, I'm just calling one part of it. It's obviously more on women's side too, but just speaking in that term. Um, you see a lot of that in church, a lot of that with the leaders, are very controlling, very manipulative, got their feet on their wife's neck. And I'm thinking that has no resemblance of how God loves us.
It has
He
none
don't have his
whatsoever.
foot on our neck. He
Mm-mm.
don't do that to us. He don't control
Mm-mm.
us. He don't hurt us verbally, physically, emotionally. He does any of that.
Mm-mm.
But we'll stand
No.
flat footed. Oh, I love God, and for some they'll shout a church building down, but
No.
beating up on their wives, talking to them incorrectly, vice versa. The woman could be doing it to the man, her ways. And I'm thinking that is not what he said. So when you brought up
No.
in Corinthians, I thought about that one too. Like he commanded husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church.
Yeah. Amen. And Jeffrey said that the worst idea a person can have is to feel you can change someone. My dear says if they show you who they are, believe it. Really,
Ooh,
it was
Father.
Maya Angelou, baby. She said when a person shows you who they are, then believe it. But yeah,
Right.
that was Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
My
And
dear
she
just
was
stole
right.
it.
Maya Angelou was right with that. Because I
But
live by that motto right now.
okay, I know I am too. Because people will say what they think you want to
Want to
hear,
hear. Mm-hmm.
and then you can take it like sugar, but you ain't really gonna take it like salt, like the salt of the earth. You ain't
Mm-hmm.
really gonna take it like salt. You can just take it like sugar and just put it on like a scrub and wash it off. That's what I'm saying. Because what a person do is more important than what a person says.
Yeah.
It really is. It's more important than what a person says. A person will say a lot of things because they're trying to please you. They're trying to keep you. They're trying to keep you, make you stay and believe in them. It's important that you believe in them. So they
Right.
are going to say what it is that they need to say. Just like if a man hit you or a woman hit you, and then uh, you had in your mind that if anybody were to hit me, I'm walking away. But when that person hit you and it happened to you, you ain't gonna know until that moment what you would actually do. But when that person comes to you and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. I really am sorry. Please forgive me." They get into this remorseful, um, you know, dialogue with you. But at the same time, you may say, "Okay, I forgive you," or you can walk away. But if you decide to stay, what is that really saying to him or her? What is
Mm-hmm.
that really saying to him? What is they really thinking in the back of their mind? Oh, well, I got her now, or I got him now. They ain't gonna never leave. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They could be thinking that, or the man could have been very, very remorseful. He could have been, Felicia. I don't know. But the one thing I do know is your actions is going to speak louder than your words. They
Oh
really are.
yeah.
Because when it happens the second time, then what that absolutely mean is that you did not, you did not keep your promise.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't keep your promise. You
Right.
said you would never hit me
Yeah.
again.
And
You
that's why
said
we
you
gotta
didn't keep your
be
promise.
uh, and that's why we gotta be alert. We gotta make sure the actions are adding up to the lip service.
Yeah.
Because we all can give some great lip service. I mean, come
Oh,
on.
we can.
There's
We
some folks
all
out here
can.
that's some jaw jackers. Like they can give some great lip service, but you got to be mindful and be alert and aware of actions. If the actions ain't lining up to the lip service, that's a problem.
Mm-mm.
And like you said,
Just
it,
ain't
it, I'm,
working.
if you done it twice,
You've done it twice. And we also gotta pay attention to the nonverbal.
Yeah, that speaks
I
too.
mean, nonverbal too. What is that you ain't
Right.
saying?
That's
But
true.
you still doing something. It could, you may not be a talkative person, but you still doing something. You still doing something that's showing me or making me question who you are, or making
That
me
is so
question the
true.
type of love that you have toward me, or whether or not you respect me. If I got to question anything when it comes to a man, it's a waste of my time. I shouldn't have,
Yeah,
I shouldn't even be in that position because I'm a woman. A woman
that's
should
right.
not be in a position where she have to question or figure out anything in regard to a man. I'm just saying, and a man
Mm,
shouldn't either. A man shouldn't have to be trying to figure out what she want either, or whether or not she respects him, or whether or not she loves him. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of what goes on inside our hearts, because Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard your heart with all
oh,
diligence,
yes,
for
Jesus.
out of it flows the issues of life." You
Yes,
gotta know
Lord.
what's in you before you get into these relationships, because relationship will draw out. Just like you put salt on certain foods to draw out the saltness or whatever, relationship will do
Amen.
that to you. It will draw some ugliness out of you.
That
It
is
can
so
draw
true.
so it can either draw the ugliness out of you, or it can draw some goodness out of you. It
It
just
all
depends
depends,
on it
right?
just depends on who you're talking to. I'm just
That's
saying, I'm
true.
just being honest. And we gotta pay attention to that. We gotta pay attention to ourselves. We tend to put our eyes on other people more so than ourselves. And really we have to be mindful of what's going on in our own hearts. Because we can think of some evil stuff. We can do some evil stuff. That's just how powerful we are. But we gotta be mindful. You gotta guard your heart, because if you don't, then you just letting that stuff sit there and just
Fester.
fester, and then just fester, and then next thing you
Hmm.
know, whatever comes out, and then you have to go and ask for forgiveness. You have to go and get before the Lord and all that stuff. When really all that should have been taken care of before you get into a relationship.
That's
But
true.
sometimes, our heart gets so caught up on love. We love love. I'm just saying, but that's the way God made us, and you know what? It ain't no wrong with that. God wants us to
Yeah.
love. That was His commandment is. So don't think that there's something wrong with loving someone
Right.
or wanting to be loved, because we made that way. We are wired that way. There's
That's
nothing we
right.
can do about it. Nothing whatsoever. We all desire to be loved. And we also love love. But at the same time, we have to be mindful of the type of love that we are receiving and also giving out to other people. Because if you don't know God, you don't know love. I'm just gonna be honest. Because when I was out there dating my 20s, Felicia, I ain't know love at all, baby. I ain't know what
Say
the real
that.
love was. All I thought was that I could just get between the sheets and move on. But but um, I thought that was love. But hey, it's not. If
And
you
and we
don't
and we
know,
all
if you don't know, you don't know.
and we all went through that. I don't think nobody really at that age, and that's just my opinion, truly know love in that manner. And I say that in the sense of we haven't lived long enough. You get
Hmm.
20, 21 years old, you ain't lived a long enough time to really understand and phantom what that really all entails and what that means. But in the end, I don't think it's wrong for anyone to want love, to desire
Be
love. Like you
love.
said, God is
Hmm.
love, and He created us and molded us this way. So it's nothing wrong with that. We just got to get
Exactly.
clear and understand what we're getting ourselves into and whom we are hooking up with.
Yeah, that's true. We really do. If you do find yourself in a situation where you're in it, I just want to encourage you to um, find a way to get out of it if you can. But if not, then you're gonna need the help. Because just like Felicia said, you gotta have a strategy. You have to have a strategy. And the reason why is because you don't know the mindset of the other person. Just like the wife with her husband. She didn't know the mindset of her husband. If she did, she would have called the police. She would have not went to work the next day. You see what I'm saying? She would have made sure she was safe until you know, until she was safe because she knew that she would have known his mindset. But some people don't believe people when they say, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you," or "If I can't have you, then nobody else will." But when a man or a woman says that, yeah, I know what the scripture say, Felicia, that whatever is in a man's heart, it come out of his mouth. Well,
Whatsoever a
I'm
man thinketh,
paraphrasing, y'all. I'm
whatsoever a
paraphrasing.
man
What?
thinketh,
What?
he
No.
thinketh
What
he
defines
is.
a man? I'm sorry, y'all. What defines a man?
Oh,
That's
there
what I
you go.
mean.
That one.
That's what it is. But most of the time, what people say, it is in their hearts. It's in their heart. Most of the stuff we say, it's in our heart, y'all. I'm just saying. It's really what you're thinking. It's already what you. It's already a perspective that you believe. So if a person is saying, "I'm going to kill you" or "I'm going to hurt you" or whatever, you have to believe them because it's in their hearts. And
Mhm.
that may be their mindset. That may be their mindset that, hey, I will do it. Because, when you get to that point where you're saying that I'm going to kill myself too,
Yeah.
I mean, that's dysfunctional, number one. And then number two is suicidal. No, you know what I'm saying? And just because a person is a pastor or a person has a title or a person has power, all those things that we just can't seem to look behind, then it does not mean anything. That person still can hurt you. Just like me, I said we all are capable. We all are capable of hurting someone.
Yeah.
Toya said she may have thought she was safe because she was at work. She probably thought he wouldn't do anything with people around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. And I
that's
have a
true
thing
too.
who I've all kind of how I've always been, and I guess in some in some part it can be a little distrusting, and that could be the case. But I never underestimate people. I've always kind of been, and probably as I've gotten older, I never underestimate people. I never underestimate people. Now, granted, that's easy for me to say that. I'm not in a relationship, not in a marriage
Hmm.
where there's this connection that is built, there's this love, and then where you kind of, if you've gotten in this marriage, you should be at a place of trusting and you're open. And so you probably let your guard down and
Yeah,
but in my mind, for me, I never underestimate anyone, man or woman. I
yeah,
just don't because I'm clear that each and every one of us is prone to make a mistake.
yeah.
We're
All of
all
us.
one step away from a bad decision, each and every one of us.
Go, all
We're
it takes is
all,
one. All it
yes,
takes is one. That's why I say, but by the grace of Jesus Christ. You see what I'm saying? I'm
yeah,
just like, it's by the grace of Jesus Christ. It doesn't have anything to do with how I was raised up, or because some of us haven't been raised up in a way that we should be anyway. So
properly.
you can't really bank on that. So it
Yeah,
doesn't matter how many degrees you have, how many titles you have, or how many friends you have, or how much money you got. You still able to do anything. All it takes is one.
mhm,
All it takes is one time, Felicia. One time.
yeah.
That's it. All of it.
I
Um,
remember. Go ahead.
it takes the average person 7 times before they actually leave.
Wow, wow, and I
Yeah.
believe that. I believe that based off of what I've seen personally. I believe
Hmm.
that. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah.
And going back,
That soul tie is a real thing. That codependency is a real thing. That's something you just can't take lightly.
yeah, and it goes back to the
I think
statement
that pastor was codependent on his wife too.
but that goes back to the statement my mom made earlier on in the thread where she was talking about once they get your mind, they got you. I believe that wholeheartedly too in a relationship where that's That's what it's all about. That's where the fear comes into play. That's where let me isolate you from your family comes into play. Let me
Exactly.
isolate you from your friends. It's getting your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, let's take it. Let's get a little more deeper with that from a spiritual standpoint. That's the trick of the enemy. That's what he
Hmm.
comes to do: kill, steal, and destroy. How does
Yeah.
he come in? Every single time he comes in with tricks and games.
Yeah.
We just stupid that we fall for it because he comes doing the same thing every time. But nonetheless, that's his agenda: to kill, steal, and destroy. Nothing
Yeah.
more, nothing less. And his whole thing is to get your mind. That's why the spirit of fear is of the enemy. That's not of God. God has not given us a spirit of
That's
fear,
right.
but of love and a sound mind. And so if he gets your mind and puts you into a place of fear, he got you. Case in point, look at this pandemic. Now, granted, it's a very challenging time for many, but look what happened with the crisis with toilet tissue. Folks went into a panic. Fear set in. Oh my God, I'm not going to have enough tissue to wipe my tail. So now
Hmm.
we got a shortage of toilet tissue. That's craziness. But if he can get your feet, if he can get your mind and take you to that place, and that's the way I look at domestic violence and just toxic relationships in general, is
Yeah.
it's all here. It's all in the head. It's about getting your mind. It's getting you to see it differently, think differently. But it's toxic, and it's
It
placing that
is.
planting that seed of fear, planting that seed of control, planting that seed of manipulation. Because if I can get your mind and get you seeing it the opposite way of the way you should, then I got you.
Mhm.
I got you hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. And it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
It's hard to get out. You really will have to go seek help. Most definitely. So, we're going to conclude this tonight. We really do appreciate you all being with us tonight. And we will be having three guests for the rest of the Sundays of this month. I have three wonderful ladies, powerful women of God, y'all. Y'all need to make sure y'all be here every Sunday for the rest of October. Next Sunday, we will have Veronica Outlaw, and the third Sunday will be Shamika Turner, and the fourth Sunday will be Latasha Faulkner. And these are some wonderful ladies, and they are survivors of domestic violence.
Mm,
So they will be here on the show, and they will share their story, and they keep it real. They really do. And so I'm so excited about having them on the show, y'all, for the rest of the month of October, so we can continue the conversation about toxic relationships and domestic violence, as well as being in certain circumstances that we know that we're not supposed to be in. So we want to say thank you again, and y'all have a wonderful week on this week, and have a good night on tonight, and sleep well. And I pray that y'all continue to be protected and blessed, and may the Lord, be upon us on this week. And of course, he's everywhere that where we are, but we
yeah.
also gotta understand that he has already went before us.
Yes, he
So
has.
in his eyesight, the week has been taken care of, even though today
Mm,
is Sunday. That's what I mean. Today is Sunday, but the week has already been taken care of as far as God is concerned. So let it be about his business. Let the rest of the week be about his business. Just be thankful every day that he wakes you up, and thankful that your family is still around, and because people are still not
yeah.
making it to 2021. So we are in our last quarter of 2020. And I'm praying for each and every one of us that we finish strong, and that we continue to keep the Lord before us, because um, we do not know what tomorrow holds,
That
but
is so true.
God does. So He got that for me. So He got that for us. So we might well let Him have it.
Ah,
Might as well just hand it over. Let God
mm,
drive the wheel, y'all. Let God drive the car. You ain't gotta be the driver all the time. What's wrong with you just sitting there on the passenger side and just looking at God. Just like I do with my husband driving the car, y'all. I'll be looking at my husband like, I'm so blessed. And he don't be knowing that I'm looking at him.
Mm.
He knows when I'm looking at him. But the thing is, we got to do God the same way. Sit on the passenger side and just look at him.
It's hard because we want to
Yeah.
be in control.
We always want to be in control.
Let's call it what it is. We got some control spirits in here.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
But y'all have a good night. And we'll see you on next Sunday.
Good night.